2 years ago, on Thanksgiving Day, sitting all alone on a cool morning air, drinking a cup of coffee, hundreds of miles away from my friends and family, I had what I call a come to Jesus meeting. It was in 2011. I had been a believer, born again Christian for over 30 years. And as I sat there looking down the path I was going, I seen nothing but darkness and destruction. Now I want to take no credit in my life change, and I want to make clear that God gets all the credit and glory, because I tried it my way and it didn't work. But saying that, I was in the place I was in because of the things and the decisions I made. So I want to tell you in a practical way, what I did to come out of it. I was compelled to make a change. At that moment in my life, I had no idea my marriage was failing. I thought it was okay. Not great, but okay. By the 1st of February, this was in November, by the 1st of February, after 25 years, she was gone. One day she came home and said, I've rented an apartment and I need some time. I think that's what she said. I came home from that weekend and started going to church. I started coming here and getting closer to God. And at that time, we was still meeting over there in the little building. That's how far you came in 2 years. I started getting closer to God and building a better relationship with Him. I started the Not a Fan series with the group at Miss Tony and Randy's house. I started fasting and I started praying. Not for God to bring my wife home, but for Him to understand that I was serious about getting back to Him and getting my life right with Him. It wasn't too long after that, I remember standing in Tony's kitchen and telling Ralph, I'm done. I'm done with her. I've had enough. I can't do it anymore. And it wasn't too long after that, I met with her and we sitting in the car Starbucks, and I remember telling her, I said, I'm done. I'm tired of chasing you. I'm tired of trying to please you. I'm just done. I'm turning you over to God. And I remember leaving. No, let me back up. When I told her that, I said, but this is what I am going to do. I am going to follow God, and I'm going to get my life right. I'm going to be the man that He wants me to be. And if you want to come along, that's fine. If you don't, that's up to you. And I remember leaving that meeting, talking to her, with a big burden lifted off my life. I never had so much peace in my life. And it might sound crazy, but it felt like the whole world had been lifted off my shoulders.
I had a completely different reaction to that meeting. I was convinced that that's it. He's done with me. It's for sure going to end in divorce, when I said the whole time that the reason I was leaving was because I had to figure myself out. I had to make changes, and I couldn't do it living under the same roof. And that was a lie that I bought into. I bought into so many lies. So I left that meeting and I went straight to work, convinced that we were going to have to get a divorce. I needed to buy a house. This was it. It was over. And he gave me the book, Not a Fan, to read. And at the time that he had started going back to church, I was at a place in my life that I didn't want anything to do. I'd been in church since I was 4 years old, but I just didn't want to have any part of all the church lingo and I was just fed up with all of that. And so I'm like, you go ahead. I'm going to stay here. And thank goodness he did. Thank goodness he did start. And Ralph was saying that it affects the people around you. Had he not done that, had he not made that decision to turn me over to God, we wouldn't be standing here today. We would be in divorce. We would have been divorced. I have no doubt about it. So if you're believing the lies of the devil, you got to stop. And they're overwhelming. And I was in a place that I just didn't know. I just was lost. I didn't know what to believe or what to think. I didn't know I was believing the lies of the devil. He had asked me to read the Not a Fan's book, and that really started making me do some serious thinking. He asked me if I would be willing to meet with Ralph and Diana for some counseling, and I said absolutely, because I truly did want to do whatever it took to save our marriage. I mean, 25 years, 2 grown children. That is not okay. That is not okay. So we met with Ralph and Diana, and they introduced us to this book, the Love and Respect book. Now, let me say, first of all, that this book did not save our marriage. But God used this tool to open our eyes to the love and respect concept. If you are even remotely struggling, please get this book. If it is a financial burden, get it anyway. I'll pay for it, because that's how strongly I believe in the principles of this book. He didn't even know what disrespect was. He didn't even realize that I was disrespecting him. And believe me, I was disrespecting him. But I was yet expecting him to fill up my love tank. So, this marriage relationship that Paul and I have today, is not about Paul and I. And that doesn't make sense. But this relationship, this marriage between Paul and I, still not always perfect. It's never going to be perfect. But because he has his relationship and is cultivating his relationship with God, and because I am cultivating and seeking relationship with God, that is where our harmony comes in. It is not about us. Your marriage, or any of your relationships for that matter, have nothing to do with the people, with you or your spouse. It has everything to do with you and God, and him and God, her and God. It has nothing to do with each other. So don't fight it anymore. Please don't believe the lies of the devil. It sounds so foreign right now, and I understand that, but just give it a try. Just give it a try.
When I started getting my life with God, and we started counseling, started reading this book, and I started discovering what he wanted me to do, I started doing the things for my wife, not for her, but for Christ. Because this is what he commanded me to do. This is the way he told me to treat her. Speak kindly to her, to love her, to show her grace and mercy every day. I got up day after day after day, surrendering my life. Okay, Lord, help me do what you want me to do today. And our marriage started coming back together, not because we was working on our marriage, it's because we was working on our relationship with Christ. And like she said, it has nothing to do with us, but it has everything to do with Christ. And I know it might be hard to understand, but that's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. After, 28 years, we've never had a marriage like what we've got now. I am speaking so pink, and if anybody's read the book, that Ralph has threatened to take my man card away this week, And she is being able to talk in blue so much that it's making it easier for me to understand the way she's feeling and everything. And it's just a big, big relief. This book, I think, is $15 back there. And God brought it in our life. Timing is everything, as far as I'm concerned. Because if it would have came in my life 20 years ago, I would have shucked it over my shoulder and it would have been done. But he has brought it into Ralph's life and now brought it into our life, and it's being shared throughout. I think it's $15 back there. Ralph charged me $20 for mine. I guess he pocketed the other $5. I don't know. But like Lori said, it's well worth it.
just real quick, one more thing, I'm sorry, is it's so relieving. It's such a relief to know that I don't have to please him. It's like such a burden. It's unbelievable, the relief that I feel, because I don't have to please him. I just have to please God, and everything else falls into place. It just falls in.